D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful Friday. And may I just say, there are some flurries outside. Yeah. Haven't we been through enough? I know it's not supposed to snow like it did over the weekend, last weekend, no ice or anything like that. But I saw the flurries coming down as I got in my car to drive over here, and I got mad. Like, we've been through enough. Go away, snow. Anyway, now that I've gotten on my soapbox within a minute of the program starting, Willie Donick is on Long Island, New York, where the Predators will take on the Islanders tomorrow to wrap up their 3-game road trip. Willie, how are you?
Well, I'm fine. It's really chilly up here. It's about 15, 17 degrees, and that's the high for the day. So it's going to go down lower here. There's a ton of snow on the ground, but relatively it's better here than it is back in Nashville. I know a lot of people are still struggling, including me. Still no power at 13:02. But, this is life. We'll get by it one day at a time. I know a lot of people out there are still struggling. And, yeah, the snow flurries, I'm sure, aren't
they're triggering.
Aren't putting anybody in a good – yes, very triggering. Good word. Ring the bell.
Ring the bell. There we go. Speaking of those of you who may still be impacted by the storm from last weekend, Derek Mason, I do want to draw your attention to this. The Nashville Predators announced today that Bridgestone Arena will be open today for those affected by the recent winter storms. Community members can visit the arena from 11:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. to charge devices, fill up water bottles, and enjoy a meal, courtesy of the Predators and concession partners, Delaware North. So if you need a place to go for the next 90 minutes to charge your phones, get some water, enjoy a meal, please head downtown to Bridgestone Arena. Shout out to the Predators for doing that. But we are going to try something new to start today's show. So as we're waiting for Chase and Big Joe to wrap up every day, Derek Mason has a lot on his mind. So here's what we're going to do. I have, if you're watching the stream, this little sand timer. It's blue. It's 60 seconds. Okay. Derek, we are going to start. Yes?
Can y'all hear me?
No.
There we go.
There we go. Okay.
Okay.
Maybe he'll rant about the microphone.
Yes.
But
That's all me.
I have this little sand timer.
Okay.
It's 60 seconds. Derek, we're going to start each show by giving you 60 seconds to unload about sports, life, whatever you want. All you have are these 60 seconds and this little sand timer. We'll also take suggestions on what we should call this segment, 615-737-1025. But Derek, are you ready?
You damn right.
All right. I'm turning over the sand timer. It starts now.
Okay, Sean Payton, what in the hell are you thinking? Really? Like, you're throwing your quarterback under the bus. You're messing up his money in future years. What in the hell are you doing? Nobody asked you whether your quarterback was predisposed for the injury that he had. They just asked what happened. And you took you-know-what and spilled the tea to everybody. So much so that your quarterback had to come back and say, man, I don't think he really should be sharing how many surgeries I've had in the past. To be honest, he really doesn't know anything. This is all because Sean Payton, and I love how they do it. They put his age before they actually show what he said. Sean Payton, 62. Oh, so you want to blame his age now? He's a little senile, huh? So you want to throw his age? No. Sean Payton, 62, told the media in a press conference on Wednesday, July 28th, that the quarterback went through his surgery, revealed that an injury was inevitable. What was found was a condition that was predisposed. Don't air your quarterback out like that. Like, what in the hell are you thinking, Sean Payton? Ain't nobody going to tell you a damn thing.
All right. I gave you a few extra seconds.
Man.
Do you feel better?
I feel better.
So let's recap here for those who don't know what Derek is talking about. So Bo Nix, as most of you probably know, did not play in the AFC title game for the Broncos because he suffered a fractured ankle in the game against the Bills in the divisional round. And then Sean Payton, correct me if I'm wrong here, guys, came out and said that Bo Nix was predisposed for this sort of injury because of some issue with his ankle.
Mhm.
And then Bo Nix refuted that and was PO'd at his coach for saying such a thing. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah.
And he should be peeved as a player. Not only did you share his medical, like, with the world, which I think is not cool or maybe a little bit illegal to share with everybody, like HIPAA, like you were predisposed because you had prior injuries. Like, dude, like, aren't you trying to help me? It sounds like you're trying to sabotage me, because to me, I guarantee it, Bo continues to play well. This will come up during contract. And I'm not sure that Sean Payton is sort of getting ahead of himself here, or if they've talked about it, but it's just mighty. I've never seen a head coach do this to their quarterback. Their quarterback, not a defensive back, not a diva wide receiver, not a running back, not a DN, but your quarterback. You, like, what were you thinking? Nobody's going to trust him in the locker room now.
Willie, how do you feel about what Derek had to say?
Well, I read it when he said it, and I assumed when it first came out at the press conference that, if the coach is going to say that, then it's somehow had to been endorsed by Bo Nix or something that people already knew. I was really taken aback when Bo Nix decided to have his own press conference the next day that I don't think was previously scheduled, just to set the record straight. And he clearly was not very happy, nor should he be. I agree completely with Derek. The thing that's weird to me is that Sean Payton deserves a lot of credit for discovering Bo Nix. They got him later in the first round, and they've gotten a lot of mileage and a lot of wins out of him. Bo Nix probably, I would venture to say, would not have done as well if he had been drafted by a different team, several different teams. Maybe that's true, maybe that's not, but it's a good fit between him and Sean Payton, playing to his strengths. So I'm very curious to see where that relationship goes.
We do have some suggestions on the text line for the name of the segment. Jeff says, the Mason Minute, 85 complaints in 60 seconds.
I like that.
Oh, that's great entry to start with. Can anybody top that?
Matt suggests, call this Mace in your face.
Okay. All right. I like that too.
Hair Metal Henry says, add more sand and call it 85 seconds with Derek Mason. I don't think they make an 85-second sand timer. A lot of these are much better than my suggestion, which was what's crawled up Derek's ass.
See, I have to be, even though it will be my minute.
Yes.
And thank you, Adam. I appreciate that. Thank
Yes.
you, Willie. I appreciate that you two guys
You're the tone
are
setter.
allowing me to have a minute.
We need you to come in pissed off for greatness.
Hey, I
and
feel
this
it.
is the tone setting.
But I got to be very careful, because there are a lot of things that do bother me,
Mm-hmm.
and not all of it is sports.
Yeah.
So I got to be very careful
Okay.
with my rant. But I am going to bring it to you.
Okay.
I'm going to bring it to you.
Derek's dummy of the day is another suggestion
Okay.
for this segment. Keep them coming. 615-737.
Face in your face is really good. I'm voting for that.
Mace in your face, or what's crawled up Derek's ass. You let us know. 615-737-1025. I think Mace in your face is a little bit more appropriate. Okay. So another thing we often do on this show, we have a running list of banned words and phrases. For example, the term generational, as in generational talent, generational prospect, is banned from this program unless it's actually applicable, because that word is overused in sports. The phrase checked off all the boxes, that's been banned on this program as well. We have a running list. And there is another word I've considered banning from this program.
Oh, okay.
Culture. I've considered
Ooh.
banning the word culture because you hear it all the time in sports. Oh, the culture. You got to have a good culture. He's trying to establish culture. Not to say that culture isn't important because it is, but I think it's overused. However, I do think it's important to talk about culture today. Now that we've heard from Robert Saleh, he had his introductory news conference yesterday. We'll bring you more clips of that. We'll discuss it further throughout the program. But a big talking point in the news conference yesterday. How are you going to build the culture? What goes into establishing a culture, leadership, all of these things. And even Robert Saleh acknowledged that all those things are just words, the all gas, no brakes, and all of those other slogans he's come up with. It's all just words. And he even acknowledged that yesterday. So here is how I want to start today's show. Derek and Willie have both been in locker rooms. Derek, of course, as a professional, Willie as a collegiate athlete. And
professional.
I'm sorry.
Yes, don't forget about his baseball
Don't forget
days.
about the minor league run.
If you count Class A minor league baseball as professional, I did get paid.
No, but you went up. You got called up, and you didn't keep your jersey. Damn
I
you,
didn't
Willie.
keep the jersey. That was stupid. But yes, I have been in a lot of locker rooms for a lot of coaches, and I do have a question, Adam, before we get started with this, because I do think this is a really good topic. Honestly, I think this is really important.
Yes.
But just to tie it together with the phrases, has the phrase winning the press conference, has that been officially banned as well? Can we let the listeners know that?
We need to
Yes,
ban that.
that has been banned.
Yes.
That has been banned.
The phrase winning the news conference or winning the press conference has been banned officially on DVD.
Okay. And so I would say there's 8 to 10
Banned
phrases
words.
now that are banned.
I don't even remember all of them.
I remember them.
Let's put together a list. David, let's make sure we have the list just so our listeners know that if they're going to bring that up, it will be challenged. It will be flagged on the show.
Yes. Okay. So I do.
But I'm not a favor of culture. I think culture needs to stay in. Culture is too broad of a word.
Okay. Well, I'll take that under advisement. But we are going to talk about culture today, and I apologize for not considering the Medicine Hat Blue Jays as a professional team. They are indeed a professional team. So Willie's been in professional clubhouses, just like Derek Mason has been in professional locker rooms. So now that that's been settled, I want to know what it actually takes to change a team's culture, because that is going to be an important aspect of Robert Saleh's job. So let's develop a sort of step-by-step how-to guide on how to change a team's culture based on both of your respective experiences playing collegiate and professional sports. Derek,
yes.
If you were putting together a pamphlet for Robert Saleh, so you've decided to take the Titans job, and you're trying to lay out how he should go about rebuilding the Titans culture, knowing how you know that organization. Give me your first steps. What should he prioritize?
I think he has to be honest. He has to be honest with his locker room, what he sees, what needs to be improved, and he needs to be honest with the building, because the building does affect the locker room, or the locker room does affect the building. Even though there's that separation, when it comes to work, but one does affect the other. And players understand you can't BS a player. You just can't. They sniff it out very quickly. And once they sniff it out, they're done with you. They're turning on you. They're not listening to you. They're not doing anything. They're just coming to work, performing because they have to, not because they want to because of you, or want to run through a wall because of you, because to them, you're not upfront with them. So first and foremost is just being honest with your players in their assessment and what you expect. Because once you do that, I think now that's a springboard to be able to touch everybody in that locker room. Because listen, you got to get those older guys, but those young guys are the one, because they're watching what those older guys do, So if the older guys don't feel you're honest, you think the younger guys gonna feel that? So you have to walk in with honesty and transparency about your locker room.
Willie, same question. What would be the first thing you would advise Robert Saleh to do about reestablishing the Titans culture?
I think he will know what to do. I think it's more about the person. My experience has been that I think every coach wants to do what we're talking about, but not as many coaches are good at it. There could be coaches that are really good with the X and O part of the game. That might be a great game planner. They might be a great scout. They might be a great X and O guy, but they may lack the presence to really band together the locker room. And I think a lot of coaches that I know, that I've talked to and I've experienced, I think believe that it's much more about that than it is the X and O's. I think you can say across the board in any major sport, at major college athletics, maybe even major high school athletics, all the way up to the top pro leagues, that the culture and getting everybody band together on the same page is as or more important than the game planning and the X's and O's. Would you agree, Derek?
Yeah, because
even at the NFL level, would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Because again, I think I said this during the season, like you got to have a locker room together, because a locker room that's not together is just a bunch of people playing football, not connected. So there has to be that, bond that ties everybody in. John Harbaugh did a great job. I wasn't there with Billick when he first got there. I came there the last, for 4 years of his coaching career, so I don't know how that all started, but I know how John started, and he was great at that. Jeff Fisher was great at that. Being able to, get the locker room together, even if you become the enemy. That's what a lot of people don't talk about. Even if you become the enemy. And when I say become the enemy, because people are not used to what you're trying to do for them. So at first, you're going to be the enemy. And it's okay. Because in the end, like Jeff Fisher and like John Harbaugh, you will reap the rewards. And then you will not become the enemy anymore. You had to take you through the hard stuff. And y'all bonded because of that. And now we can go, now I'm just a part of it. So I'm sure those are things that everybody loves Saleh right now. But I guarantee you there are going to be some people pissed off with him as camp starts to go and things change. But once the season starts, all that's going to fall to the wayside. And they all going to fight for one another.
615-737-1025. Robert Saleh has a lot of work to do to change the Titans culture. What are those first steps? 615-737-1025. Some of you have noted on the text line that he's already started that process with the coaching staff he's putting together. Of course, Brian Daboll front and center. 615-737-1025. We will get back to this, but coming up next, Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow will join us. We'll get his thoughts on what he heard from Robert Saleh yesterday and more. 615-737-1025. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace
Duckburg.
D-Mace Finken and
Airplanes. It's
I can't spit it out. I
I
am in charge of the
Like-
music today, and it's going.
DuckTales. Ooh,
Okay.
everything that I've been making.
I knew you would
DuckTales.
like it. I
Ooh.
knew you would like
Come
it.
on, I love that, man.
So I've been trying to get my son this week to watch all of the Disney cartoons I loved to watch when I was younger,
He don't like DuckTales?
like DuckTales and
Well.
and others that you're going to be hearing throughout the course of the show. So I'm feeling a bit nostalgic.
Me as well.
Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com and welcome in our friend Chad Withrow from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow. Chad, how are you?
Doing well. And guys, who hasn't wanted to swim in gold bars before?
That's
on
right.
DuckTales? I mean,
That's
that was
right.
Very aspirational when I watched that show.
Shout out Scrooge McDuck. So,
Yep.
Chad, fill in the blank for me. The most interesting thing meaning you, the most interesting thing I heard during Robert Saleh's news conference was blank, and tell us why.
I think just him laying out what the team is going to be from an identity standpoint. You know, he talked about being violent, playing fast, playing confident, and talking a little bit of trash along the way. I think that clarity of purpose and sort of what he's looking for, you know, it sounds hokey. I think most coaches win the press conference. And if they don't win it, very few lose the press conference right out of the gates. They're all usually pretty polished and good at doing these things. I thought Robert Saleh was excellent yesterday. I thought he won the press conference. But the thing that stood out to me was that one quote about what he's looking for in a player and what he's looking for with his team to do, and how he's talking about he wants people to be excited watching the team because there's going to be an identity and a purpose to the group that he coaches. I think if you can simplify things and guys feel like they're that type of player and they're bought in, that's a big part of the battle with any team. So I was really impressed with really just his clarity of focus and how he had an identity laid out for what he wants in a player and what he wants from this Titans team. I thought that was very well done by Saleh.
What is your very early expectation of Cam Ward as being coached by Brian Daboll?
It's to be Josh Allen. No, I'm kidding. It's not to be Josh Allen immediately, but wouldn't that be nice, guys? Right? That's the template to follow. Is Brian Daboll helped shape Josh Allen into who he is now. So if that could work out for Cam Ward, that would obviously be a gigantic win for the Titans. But, you know, I think just understanding that Cam Ward's got a long way to go, but helping him immediately eliminate some of the things that got him in trouble in year one and just amplifying what makes him so talented. I think that's a key. I don't know that there's just a set stat line or win total or anything I want to see. Guys, I just want to see a coach that gives Cam Ward the necessary tools and with him helps him form a game plan and call plays that he loves, that he's comfortable with, where you just see that improvement. You know, the fumble issue or interceptions go down or just him making the right decision goes up. I want to see that in year one with Brian Daboll. And I think it's a great hire. I think he's more than capable of doing that for Cam Ward. But that's really what I want to see right now. I don't know if there's just a set goal that I'm looking at and saying he has to do X in year one. I just want to see the elimination of some of those bad traits, and I want to see some of the good traits of Cam Ward amplified right away.
Now, Chad, he did say, which I found very interesting, and we talked about it yesterday, about, you know, basically cleaning everything up that he did last year, just wiping it all away and starting from ground zero. Basically what he said, how he walks into the building, how he operates in the building, things that he does within the building and with this team. Is that more of an indictment on the last coaching staff that this coaching staff, or at least Saleh, don't believe that they truly maximize Cam Ward's ability to play the quarterback position?
I do. I think it's an indictment on the previous staff, and I think that's what they're saying is that we saw some bad habits. You know, when you watch them on film, when you see them, we saw some things we definitely want to clean up and wipe away and just wipe that slate clean from a year ago. But, I mean, I think any coach is going to want to do that when they come in. I don't think it's just, hey, this is that they talk about year zero for the coach, right? And then it's year one and year two and all of that stuff. I think it's hokey, and I think it's wrong in terms of this, because Cam Ward played an entire season. Now, he's not going to get an entire offseason because of the injury in the last game, but he's a season in now. So I don't think you're restarting the clock and acting like, oh, he hasn't played in the NFL before simply because it's a new coaching staff. But I do think it is a reset of, and that goes for everyone too. I think the message from Saleh is also, look, we're wiping the slate clean with everyone. We've seen your film. We know what we like. We know what we don't like about you. But we're also not going to come in and judge right away. We're going to give the players an opportunity to get with what we're doing and show what they have in the system. The same goes for Cam Ward. So it's a reset of how you practice, how you study film, like you said, D-Mace, how you walk in the building, how you present to your teammates, how you present to the coaches, all of that. And then you start building from there. But I also didn't take it as a, hey, this is year one all over again, and don't worry about anything last year. Don't worry about improvement. We're starting over. They want to see improvement. Titans fans want to see improvement. I want to see improvement.
Now, there was something else that he said in regards to this team, and not necessarily with the players, but he talked about his coaches, which I don't remember hearing Vrabel talk about it. And I'm not saying that Vrabel should have, and I definitely didn't hear Brian Callahan talk about it. We talk so much about the development of players, but who develops the coaches? Because the question was asked, hey, Daboll, if he gets this offense going, then more than likely he will be gone to take a head coaching job. Well, Saleh basically said, which I haven't heard, was, listen, we understand that, but it's about developing our coaches that's behind those coaches that may ultimately get a head coaching job.
See, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I really do, because if you're going to lose a coordinator, and you're right, any good organization is going to lose coordinators because they're going to be successful. And the moment you get successful, I mean, you're going to lose guys quickly to go somewhere else. Arthur Smith leaving the Titans to take the Falcons job. Matt LaFleur. We've seen it before throughout the history of the Titans, guys who are successful that leave and go somewhere else. When you have the ability to promote from within, it doesn't have to be a young coach, could be an older coach, but a position coach that you feel like understands what you're doing and understands that system, and you can just promote them, that's much more of a benefit, I think, in the NFL than going out and just hiring someone that the head coach knows because he worked with them at some point along the way or something else. So I thought that was a really good point. And just like with a roster, 1 through 53, you're developing the back end of that roster to be ready to play when the starter goes down or when the backup goes down. Or you're preparing them through playing special teams and maybe a backup role, but they're going to have to be a starter at some point. I think those same rules should apply to coaches, right? I mean, if you're the running backs coach, you should be ready to be an offensive coordinator when that time comes. And if you're the head coach of the offensive coordinator and you're not teaching well enough or training guys to be in that pipeline, to start that farm system of coaching, I don't think you're really doing your job. So I kind of liked how Saleh laid that out, and I would totally agree with him.
Chad Withrow is with us. Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow. You hear them both each week here on our show, DVD. So, Chad, I know you were pretty outspoken, opinionated on the situation in college basketball in general, but also specifically in the SEC with the Alabama center coming in from the G League. It does still seem surreal to me that we've gone here. And I do wonder, in every sport, like in hockey, where you have college players who have been drafted by teams who hold their rights for 3 or 4 years, very different than the baseball system, which also has its issue. Can you imagine taking minor league players and putting them in the SEC? Where does it end? But this is a line that I think has been crossed. But tell me your thoughts on, because we're just starting, right, getting our arms around this, and you've got a really difference-making player, I think, for Alabama that is going to be a big story from now until the end of the season.
Well, you're spot on, Billy. And I mean, Charles Bediako, think about this. The guy goes away for 2 years, comes back really 3 years later after playing for 2 years at Alabama. His first go-around, he was just a rim protector, rebounder, defensive specialist, didn't really score. Made a bad decision to go pro. But as Rick Barnes said before that Tennessee-Alabama game, the understanding of everyone, the rule is when you give up your eligibility, whether right or wrong, you give it up. And Rick Barnes said, I've had plenty of guys who went pro after a year or two and would have loved to have come back a year later when they were playing in the G League because they made a mistake and they knew it, right away. But that's not how it works. Whether the decision is right or wrong, when you give up that eligibility after using some of it, then you forfeit that eligibility. That's the way the rule should work. That's the way it's always worked. But Bediako was this rim protector, defensive specialist. In night number 1 against Tennessee, he had a career high. That's not by mistake. He played professional basketball for the last 2 years. He's gotten better. I still don't think he's a great offensive player, but he is a difference maker for Alabama, a team that's lacking in the front court, and immediately gives them a boost as they try to get their team ready to go on a long run in March. So I think it's wrong. I think Nate Oates doing this mental gymnastics around the issue, much like he did when there was a murder on his team and he didn't suspend Brandon Miller and all of that was going on. It's just sickening to me. And I want to get rid of the phoniness in the sport. I mean, just say what you're doing, man. Let's not do a Sirius XM interview 2 weeks before talking about how it's bad for the sport, but I guess we'll have to look into it. And then Alabama fans pretending they're trying to fix the sport by doing this. Oh, we're just forcing the issue so we can bring it to the NCAA and get this fixed once and for all. I mean, give me a break. It would be the equivalent if Tennessee took Kennedy Chandler back. He would still have time on his clock. Think about that. It feels like Kennedy Chandler played in 2015. He played 3 years ago and was a one and done for Tennessee. It's ridiculous to me, and I hope they figure it out.
I do too, but it is interesting. I like the coaches who were at least honest enough, and there's been more than one, that rather than get real righteous about it, and those are important too. Like John Calipari, he said, look, we're not taking those guys, and you shouldn't have those guys in your team. But other coaches are honest enough to say it's a self-preservation type of quality that really everybody has. If there's a player that they could put on their team that can magically help a guy preserve his job, then they're going to take that guy. So on some level, I don't blame the coaches because of that. They're going to get fired. So what do they have to lose? But that's why, and I still can't see it, where they're going to get the leadership and the ability to nip this in the bud and get rules, because they're different in every sport. I just wonder where this could go. What's to keep a football player from getting drafted in the NFL, not liking where he's drafted, and then coming back and cashing in and getting more money to stay an extra year in college? Like there's no limit to where this could end if you just keep letting people come back and play.
There's no limit to it. And also it's now going to work both ways. And this is where I think it could get really tricky for college basketball and the NCAA. And I think it was the New York Times and The Athletic did this story about what this would mean for the NBA and that delicate balance of the understanding of college and the NBA and how they've worked so well together. Well, now, if this rule sticks for Bediako, every single freshman in college, when they're a year removed from high school, should enter the NBA draft after their first year. If it doesn't matter, if you do that, you enter the draft. If you go undrafted, you could then come back to college, play for your team, and let's say, and I forget the player, it's a player for the Golden State Warriors that was used as the example, a guy who I think was at Santa Clara or somewhere like that. They could go back, play college basketball, average 25 a game as a transfer somewhere, and theoretically get signed as a free agent because they're now eligible for the NBA. So the NBA could reverse this and start taking college players mid-season to go play for them if they have a need. That would not be good for college basketball either, right? So it just, by every rule that we've ever watched sports or participated in it with, it just doesn't make any logical sense. I get what you're saying, Willie, about coaches are going to try to win. They're going to try to keep their own job. They're going to do what's best for them, and I understand that. But also at some point, I think Stephen Pearl actually said this. At some point, I got to go talk to the parents of the kids I recruited there. And if I'm just going in and getting a 24-year-old and saying your kid's not ever good enough to play on this team, the one who's not getting as many minutes and I'm not developing him, that's a tough thing to tell the parents of the people that you recruited from high school to be in that program. So there's a lot of ways to look at this. I think most of them are negative.
Chad Withrow from Hot Mic with Hutton and Withrow has been our guest on D. Mace. Vingan and Donahue joins us every Friday afternoon. Chad, as always, great stuff. Stay warm. We'll talk next week.
All right. Same to you guys. Thank you. Always fun.
615-737-1025. We will get back into the Robert Saleh conversation coming up next. I want to get Derek's and Willie's opinions on something I've seen pointed out about the news conference yesterday, and I don't know if it's a big deal, a little deal, or no deal. And we'll discuss that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
And what you want the team to look like on Sundays on the field. But when it comes to building the culture you want to see from this team in the locker room here in Nashville, what are the biggest keys you want to emphasize when starting to build those building blocks for the culture you want?
Now, again, it goes back to people, bringing in people who are capable of executing the vision of the entire organization. We're going to preach effort. We're going to preach strain. We're going to preach violence. We want great character individuals both on and off the field. And that's where Borgo and I, in terms of evaluations, is for checking the box on making sure that these young men are actually capable of doing that. That's what builds culture. And we'll always maintain that standard. We're going to, obviously, with the, I've always said that the best coach teams are the teams that coach themselves, but in the beginning, it's going to come from us. And at a certain point, as this team becomes veteran and it takes off and it understands what the standard is, the players will maintain the standard. And at the end of the day, the standard will always be the standard. But it starts with people.
That was Robert Saleh at his news conference yesterday. Derek, do you recognize that
Hold on, I'm
theme
trying
song?
to get it.
Okay, hold on. Maybe Willie can get it too.
I need to let it play a little bit.
Come on, Derek.
You got this.
Come on.
Gosh, it's gonna tell me in a
It's
second.
going to tell you in just a second. Hold on. Let it play out, David. Hold on. Here it comes. That's right. Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers.
Chippendale Rescue Rangers here
Man.
on the
Wow.
program. Yes.
I didn't
Okay.
know that one.
I didn't
Well-
know that one either. I forgot that one. I didn't
Well-
forget the show, but I forgot the theme song.
Well, Disney.
But I did. I can't offer this. My high school sweetheart way back in the day worked at Disney. I grew up near Orlando, Florida, and she was both Chip and Dale, among other characters, where she was a character actor in the suit. So great summer job.
What kind of perks does that come with
Yes, I wonder.
as the boyfriend
lot
of
of
someone?
perks. I
Yeah,
got
him
into the
free.
park. I got into the park a few times free of charge because of that. Yeah,
Did you wear the
wasn't
suit?
bad.
Did you wear the suit?
I did not wear the. I did not wear the suit. I was too tall.
Then what's the point?
Maybe I could have been goofy. Well, I got to ride Space Mountain,
Okay.
a few times. That was fun.
Okay. I mean, if I knew someone who was a costume character at Disney World, I would at least ask, can I wear the suit sometime? By the way, those characters.
Is that something you'd really want to do?
No, probably not.
Too damn hot nose suits.
I
Side,
was say there's some costume characters. Probably not.
sidebar, when I was 5 or 6 years old, the first time I ever went to Disney World, I was scared out of my wits of those costume characters. I don't know why. They freaked me out. But now I'm okay. I'm
You've
30,
overcome your fears.
I'm 36 now. I think I'm comfortable going to Disney World and
Are you
not
sure?
being, well, we'll find out for the first time I take Arlo to Disney World. But let's get back to Robert Saleh here. There is something, Derek and Willie, that I saw pointed out by multiple people in attendance at the news conference yesterday. And I'm wondering if this actually means anything. And I will go to our friend Teron Davenport's X account and read from his account. Quote, Titans players in attendance include Cam Ward, Alec Iamander, Jackson Slater, Kevin Winston Jr., Jeffrey Simmons, Morgan Cox, Kalel Mullings, Julius Chestnut, J.C. Latham, Jalen Harrell, Tajay Spears, and Femi Oladejo, as well as coaches Tony Oden and Randy Jordan. I have seen it pointed out in multiple places, the sheer number of Titans players who showed up to the news conference yesterday. Is that a big deal, a little deal, or no deal, Derek Mason?
I mean, it's not the biggest deal, but I think it's a show of unity. That those players chose to be there when Coach came to give his introductory press conference. So, and you're talking to some of the younger guys, and it's a good mixture. Some of the younger guys, some of the older guys. So it was good that they were there to support. I don't know. And again, I'm not really trying to compare the two, but how many were at the Callahan?
I was just
press
looking
conference?
that up, to be honest.
That's
with
what I
you.
was wondering.
I
How
was
many
just
was at
looking that up.
the Vrabel press conference? I think and I don't know if there were many at either one, meaning the Vrabel and Callahan. But but this is what I do know is that when Vrabel took over the job, that was a playoff team. So there wasn't this dire need of, oh my goodness, we got to have change because it's been so bad. So we're going to embrace the new coach with everything we got. It was sort of like, man, they fired Malarkey. Like, man, that's messed up. He took us to the playoffs. But then, okay, we're going to play Vrabel. Let's go. And then when it went from Vrabel to Callahan, if many guys were not there, I think guys were probably a little like, man, they just fired Vrabel. Why they do that? You know? But this one, because it went so bad, guys are like, good. We got somebody that was like Vrabel. So all of these guys that remember Vrabel, they're coming back and supporting who they think is a Vrabel-ish type of coach, meaning, and what I mean by that is holding guys accountable, being transparent and open with guys, making it like, and I'm not saying that Callahan didn't do those things, but obviously he didn't do enough. And Big Jeff, he said it like, we need a coach, we need a change. And all those things that he talked about, the minute he got finished talking, what did I say? He's talking about Vrabel. He wanted Vrabel type coach. So when they hire Saleh, it's like everybody's like, thank goodness they hired somebody like the last guy that got us to a point where we were in a position to make a run and win a Super Bowl.
One texter says, you reckon they just didn't have power and they've been just hanging around the building. I mean, it's
yeah, they had heat. They had heat in the building. That's why
that too.
It's possible, but Willie, should we read into anything regarding the attendance of players at this news conference, which was pointed out by multiple reporters yesterday?
Yeah, it's a little deal to me. It's not no deal, but I wouldn't sweat it. No matter what, in 6 months, will we really remember? I don't know if that's going to be the thing that swings whether they have success or not. But I do think it shows it's a hungry group of young, of players that are tired of losing, right? They know that it just hasn't been a fun place to be for a good while now. And I think this signals new hope. And I thought Jeff Fisher said it pretty well today on Chase and Big Joe's show. He said, you give me a guy that knows defense like Saleh, a guy that knows offense like Daboll, and a guy who really knows special teams like Fossil, which he could speak firsthand about. He said, now it's just a matter of getting players. He's confident that they're going to have the tools to succeed if they can just get the roster where they need to get it. And, of course, that's easier said than done. And that's really where they're going to sink or swim. But at the same time, I do like where they've gone with this.
Also, how do we feel about Borgo as a nickname for Mike Borgonzi?
I'm okay with that.
It's a bit too hockey-ish for me. Like, if Mike Borgonzi was a defenseman for the Boston Bruins, Borgo makes a lot of sense. I don't know. It feels a little hockey-ish to me.
It's easier for me to say Borgonzi.
Yeah.
Than Borgo. I don't know why Borgo's shorter.
Some names don't need to be shortened.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Some names don't need to be shortened.
Exactly. You can just say his name.
Like, for example, Willie, the nickname that's coming to mind for me that sounds like Borgo is Boro, Mark Borowiecki, the former Predators defenseman who's now a part of the development staff. Calling Mark Borowiecki Boro makes sense because Borowiecki is hard to say. Borgonzi, Borgo, I'm not sure. I think Robert Saleh is trying to make this a thing. I don't think I'm making this a thing. I'm not making it a thing.
I'm not either. I don't like it either.
I'll go with it. He also used Dave's a few times, right?
I can't do Dave's either. I can't.
It sounds too much like Vraves.
No, you know what? I'm going to say this, and people might get pissed off. Dave's sound too soft.
Dave's?
Yeah, it sounds too soft. It sounds too soft.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
Dave. No, just call me Dave Baller. Call me D. Don't call me Dave's. That's like saying babes. No.
It was just pointed out to me by my friend Jim Diamond that Mike Borgonzi's hockey nickname would be Gonzo, and I think that's better.
Exactly. I can go with Gonzo.
Yes, but then you think about the Muppets, and maybe Mike Borgonzi isn't a Muppets fan. I don't know.
By the way, Gonzo is definitely an underrated Muppet.
Oh, definitely.
Top tier Muppet.
Yes.
He's
an S tier Muppet. He is an S tier Muppet.
Yes.
Yes, Gonzo is coming in. Gonzi. I mean, you know what I've called it from the beginning. The,
The
Gonzi
Gonzi scheme.
scheme.
Yeah, there you go.
So you know
And I
that
think
I'm
that's
all
why
about it.
you're bringing this to light, Adam, because it's messing up your attempt to make this a thing, the Gonzi scheme. Because I do think that's a good way of looking at it. But if we go with what is it, Borgo?
Borgo.
Virgo, yeah.
It's also
I
a little too
know.
close to. It's also a little bit too close to Borat, which is also brings up a whole nother vision.
That's a
Which
blast
we
from
don't
the
wanna do.
past. What year is this?
I think of
2008.
embargo when I'm saying Borgo. I don't know why.
We'll workshop it with Robert
Yeah.
Saleh. 615-737-1025. Gunner on our text line has a question that I think a lot of Titans fans have about Robert Saleh. We will attempt to answer that question coming up next. 615-737-1025. Oh, by the way, Al on our text line earlier says we should ban Chad because he said win the press conference multiple times. Chad was unaware. Now
Yes.
Chad has been made aware. So Chad will not be penalized for saying win the press conference multiple times, but he's on notice. 615-737-1025. You know what? Let's give some tickets away here. If you want a pair of tickets to see the Nashville Hoop Showdown featuring Ohio State and Virginia on Saturday, February 14th at Bridgestone Arena, be caller number 3 at 615-737-1025. Caller number 3 will win a pair of tickets to the Nashville Hoop Showdown, Ohio State versus Virginia, Saturday, February 14th at 7 p.m. at Bridgestone Arena. Call now. Caller number 3, 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We do have some submissions for our banned words and phrases list on the program. Carol in Nashville, who has been quick to point out that she's the other Carol in Bellevue, not Chase McCabe's mom, asked if Happy New Year is on our banned words list. I said after a certain date. Yes, it is. It is banned now. You can no longer say Happy New Year.
I did push the limits.
You did push the limits. February.
You tried to get to March Madness with that.
February is on Sunday.
Yes.
So Happy New Year has been banned for the remainder of 2026. So that's on the list.
Okay.
Another texter said the word collaboration, which I do believe is actually on the banned words and phrases
It's
list.
definitely on the banned.
Yes. So collaboration, absolutely on the banned words and phrases list. Derek, before the break, you mentioned that Dave's for Brian Dayball sounds too soft.
Yes.
Matt suggests just balls. Just call them balls.
Balls.
Yeah. Dayballs.
Jesus.
Just call them balls. Your thoughts?
Nah, it makes me think of Spaceballs. No.
Okay.
or we could call him Day Bald.
Yeah.
Yes, he is
Gay
bald.
Yeah.
You know, we are standing in solidarity with our bald brothers over on
Or
the
Baldy.
Titans coaching staff.
Or Baldy. No, there's already a Baldy.
There's already a Baldy in
yeah,
football.
it's already a Baldy.
Yeah.
Dang it. We'll figure it out.
Daybo. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. Okay. So before we went to break, Gunner on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHunting.com, had a question that we've heard a lot from some Titans fans. So let's discuss it. Gunner says, where's the proof of Robert Saleh being a Vrabel type guy? And I understand. Robert Saleh, he's Vrabel adjacent. He's Vrabel's stunt double, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not quite Vrabel. Maybe in the same genre as Vrabel, but not a carbon copy of Mike Vrabel.
No.
But that connection has been made. You've heard that a lot over the past couple of weeks. Hey, they hired a Mike Vrabel-like guy. So let's attempt to answer this question, Willie. Where is the proof of Robert Saleh being a Vrabel-type guy?
There's no proof. I think. Look, I think a lot of times we've had this discussion about scouts, and sometimes when you associate a prospective player with a great player, it's a vision that you have, it's an idea, but only time will really tell you if you're right or not. Right? I've told the story a few times before where the Blue Jays drafted me, left-handed, some of the same traits as John Olerud. John Olerud won a Major League Baseball batting title. He was a great player for a long time, not a Hall of Famer, but close. And Donick never got past Class A. So but I was compared to John Olerud in the scouting process. It's a vision. It's a hope. But I do think you can easily make a list of characteristics that Vrabel has, that Saleh has a lot of. He reminds you of him. And I think the number one thing is he's got a big presence in a room. And I do think it's proven that he's done it. And it's not just a hope that he could do it like me. You hoped I could do it on the minor league level or the major league level. It didn't happen. But Saleh's already done it on the major league level, right? At least as a defensive coordinator. And he has been a head coach. So I think it's easier to make that thing. But proof? No, you don't have proof.
There is a word that I would use to describe Robert Saleh based on what I saw yesterday. That is probably a word that is used to describe Mike Vrabel, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
And that is authoritative. When I was watching and listening to Robert Saleh yesterday, here's another word we use a little bit too much. He had a presence.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Vrabel has a presence. I think it's safe to say that Brian Callahan did not have a presence. So I think that's where people make the loose Vrabel-Saleh connection. But when you look at the two of them, what are the similarities you see? What are the differences you see in the two of them? Because that comparison is going to continue to be made.
Yeah, it will be. And I think it's like Willie said, there's no, proof that he will be Mike Vrabel because he just got the job. But when you start to look at sort of the personality of what Vrabel was here and probably still is with the New England Patriots, judging by where they're at, is that you see sort of this, okay, Vrabel is sort of your character in a sense you've made up. So how closely does Saleh resembles that character of Vrabel that was here? Well, you look at the demeanor, it seems like those two guys have sort of the same attitude or approach to the game. You talked about, having that authoritative presence when you walk in a room. I think that's one of the first things that Borgonzi said when Saleh walked into the meeting. He had a presence about him, and that's what was said or known about Mike Vrabel. There's a presence about him that just comes out as leader. So that's the most important thing. Now, whether he wins or not, that is yet to be seen. But when I think you look at this team and what this team needs, he does have some of those traits or characteristics that Vrabel has as well. Listen, is he ultimately Vrabel? No. But I think he brings some of those same things that Vrabel brought to this team. And I think that's why Jeffrey Simmons, more importantly, because they drafted Jeff. Jeff was here with Vrabel in the winning. That's why Jeff showed up, because to him, he has traits of Vrabel, and Jeffrey likes that.
One texter says, how much of it has to do with how he looks? He just looks like a man who can rip you in half. I mean, that's not insignificant in the comparison.
It's like somebody that would just bite you. Bite you in a fight. That's how he looked.
Well, I feel like that's a sort of a cowardly thing to do.
No, it wasn't. You're trying to win at all costs.
Robert Saleh doesn't have to resort to biting.
Listen, all gas, no brake. What does that mean? Bite, kick, crawl, whatever you got to do to win, you do it.
I think he fights honorably. I think biting is for suckers.
Man, ain't no honor in football when you're trying to win a football game.
You can't fight honorably.
Exactly.
You're gonna get your butt whooped.
If Robert
So
Saleh,
you think they're gonna go out and give you a glove? You slap me in the face with your glove, I slap you in the face with my glove. Duel. No, it's about biting kneecaps. We heard that before.
Glove slap, baby glove slap. I mean, look, Liam Cohen, if he ever gets into that fight with Robert Saleh, Liam Cohen would definitely try to bite Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh doesn't have to resort to biting. Let's go to our phone line driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Dustin in Hopkinsville. Dustin, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, guys. I heard him talking on another station the other day, and when they hired him, I was a little upset that we didn't get at least McCarthy, because I was worried. We had to get back to winning first, and just like the Steelers are doing, they took the safe bet and got McCarthy. But man, the more I see about this Saleh guy and hear him talk, he's very low tone, soft spoken when he speaks, but it's there. It's sitting dormant. He's only giving you 60% until all of a sudden you piss him off, and that other 40 puts you in the dirt. He's like every damn player on the field other than on the line. I mean, he could be an edge. You build him up a little bit more. He could be a tight end right now, and he's a beefy wide receiver that you don't want to have to face if you're a corner. I mean, the guy just has an air about him. And then you see all his kids, so obviously he loves kids. They all look well taken care of, a happy family. This is just a dude I want to work for. I just want to touch his elbow when we walk by. You know what I'm saying? I want some of that to rub off on me. I mean, and I can't say what I was going to say. Look, I know a good-looking dude when I see one, and the ladies are going to love this guy.
This has taken a turn, Dustin.
He's got swagger. Hey, look, one more thing I got to say. Yes. Thank goodness we got the damn khakis off the sideline with the cleats in them. My goodness, the tucked-in shirt and the belt. all the Titans had to do was get him a wardrobe manager, and he'd have been 10 times a better coach. My Lord, Brian Callahan, good Lord, dude, you have no sex appeal. All right, guys.
Okay. Thank you, Dustin. Thank you, Dustin. Dustin, the headline
Bringing it on Friday.
from Dustin's call, the headlines. Brian Callahan has zero sex appeal, and he wants to touch elbows with Robert Saleh.
Hey, man.
Hey,
That's that energy Saleh gives off. People just want to touch elbows with him, man.
so Gunner, who asked the original question, has chimed back in. He says, wait, I lost it. There we go. My thing is, like, how do we know he's gonna hold his players and coaches accountable? How do we know he's not just a big teddy bear?
Well, I guess we don't know.
We can't say he.
Okay. Even if he's a big teddy bear, because listen, when I look at a grizzly bear, he looks nice and teddy, doesn't he? Nice and grizzly, and I just want to go hug it.
I don't know. I don't want to hug a
But
bear.
go ahead and get close to a bear and see what happens. They're nice and fluffy. You know, you go to the zoo to see them. Hey, Barry. Hey, go stand next to that bear and see what happens. So he can be nice and fuzzy and warm, but don't test him, okay? The team don't test him. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
He could be.
I saw Anchorman where that was a very scary movie at the
absolutely
end where they fell into the pit. The Bears.
Hey, he thought
Woke
the bear. He thought the bear was nice and friendly, didn't he? Absolutely.
I mean, are we talking like a brown bear here? Are we talking a koala bear?
Any type of bear, I don't care. They
Panda
look
bears
nice
are
and
mean.
nice and fluffy, but do something to a panda bear and see what happens.
I don't think I would ever approach a bear in the wild.
Okay.
I would look how
The
soft.
NFL is the wild, man.
We have gotten off track.
It's Friday.
I
No,
know.
go on.
I know.
But, look, okay, but all of
on.
this.
I'm
when
still
you say,
stuck on
what does it
Dustin saying
guarantee?
that Brian Callahan has no sex
People are
appeal.
wanting answers that we can't give them. What does
Yes.
it guarantee? This. What does this guarantee? Nothing is guaranteed.
Nothing at all.
He went 20-36, and I felt like all along he was running a good program. That was my perspective from afar, and I looked at it and I said, okay, who's playing quarterback for him? What were the issues with the roster? There were significant issues. So nothing guarantees success, but I think he's got the attributes of a person that is what they're hiring, what they're trying to hire, and that is somebody who can unite the building. I do think he seems to have that, and none of us can know. Only the people who work in that building from top to bottom are going to feel it either positively or not as he starts to weave his web over there.
There was a story on the Athletic written by Zach Rosenblatt. We had him on the program last week talking about Robert Saleh. Rosenblatt covers the Jets for the Athletic. He came down for the news conference yesterday and actually got to spend some one-on-one time with Saleh. Really good article on the Athletic. And there was a quote in there that stood out to me. Quote, "I'm grateful. I'm ready to get this thing popping to prove that where we were," meaning the Jets. Let me rephrase that. "I'm ready to get this thing popping to prove that where we, the Jets, were going was real." I like that quote because everything I've read from Rosenblatt and others who have covered the Jets is that Saleh was blindsided by the Jets' decision to fire him 5 games into his 4th season with the Jets. So I like the fact that he is coming in motivated. That isn't to say that the other coaches who are getting second chances aren't motivated. But as I was reading the story, that quote stood out to me. "I'm ready to get this thing popping to prove that where we, meaning the Jets, were going was real."
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, people have their reservations about, what makes him so different. Look at what he did with the Jets. But I think if you dive into it deeper, I think what ultimately happened was he had that, and we talked about this yesterday. He had that defense playing at a clip. And that defense was trying to, make up for the ineptness of the offense. And I think eventually it just wore on everybody. More importantly, the defense. And once they started getting hurt, they couldn't hold it longer. They couldn't hold it anymore. They started getting frustrated. The offense wasn't doing it, holding their part. And then the whole locker room just basically, it was just like, you know, everybody fending for themselves, more or less. And that organization just wasn't in a place that was going to make it, conducive for winning, at least not while, Saleh was there. Because again, the same things he were preaching in New York with the Jets, he took to San Francisco back again with that defense, and look what they were able to do with guys missing. They were still able to have a really good defense. That tells you he knows how to get guys to play. Now, what has to happen is the offense. That's why you hired Brian Dable, a guy like that can take control of the offense and have it running at a clip that is going to put this team in a better position that they were in last year. Even if they make it to, middle of the pack, it's still much better than what they were last year. And if they do that on offense, and what Saleh has shown, he's shown and proven this, that he can do on defense, I think that right there will sort of start to, make people realize, okay, maybe the Jets situation was all wrong for anybody. Look at what Aaron Glenn's going through. So maybe that situation was wrong for everybody, but now he's got an opportunity to do it over. And, he's taking on the responsibility, but he's taking it on in a different manner this time.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We'll continue to take your reaction to Robert Saleh's news conference yesterday. But coming up next, the Super Bowl, 9 days away. And as always, what do we like to do when it's time for the Super Bowl? We look to the teams in the Super Bowl, and we try to determine what lessons our local teams can learn from those teams if our teams aren't in the Super Bowl. And there is something interesting about the Patriots specifically, other than the fact that they hired Mike Vrabel, that I think the Titans could learn a thing or two about. And we'll talk about that coming up next. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan. We are broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. D-Mace, Vingen, and Donick, 102.5 The Game. Derek, any guesses?
Proud Family? I don't know.
Goof Troop. Come on, man. Goof Troop.
Wow.
Oh, so good.
I don't know why I don't remember the Goof Troops theme song. I
Well,
don't think
here it
I've ever
is.
heard it.
It's a banger. It's a
I
banger.
don't think I've ever heard it. Man.
Willie, how old were your kids in the early 90s?
I don't think we ever listened to that.
That was pre-Donick kids. The
Okay.
kids did not come in to the 21st century.
Okay.
They're 21st century.
Oh, okay. Well, Goof Troop.
02 and 05.
Goof Troop is the best. It's the best.
I'm assuming this is Goofy
Yes.
involved with the Goof Troop,
Yes, of course. Of course.
which brings up the classic question: what is Goofy?
He's a dog.
I don't know. I think you get some pushback on that.
I've heard he's a cow.
I mean, he's
You
in
ever seen the movie Stand By Me
Yes.
with a young River Phoenix? That's a good movie. They bring up that question on their journey.
Mm.
And at some point, these kids are all like 12 years old in the movie. And at some point, the guy goes, "Well, what the hell is Goofy?" After they debated it for about 2 minutes, they come to the conclusion they don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he's a dog. I know that Pluto.
No, he's not a dog.
Pluto's a dog, and Pluto has to wear
Pluto's
a
a
collar
dog.
and live in a house.
But Goofy's not a dog.
I'm pretty sure he's a dog.
Goofy is not a dog.
Mm-mm.
All right, we're gonna figure this out. 615-737-1025. But this is not what we're going to talk about in this segment. Though I could debate this for the next 90 minutes if we wanted to. The Super Bowl is 9 days away. Patriots versus Seahawks. Super Bowl 60, right? Super Bowl 60. And so it's time to have the annual conversation. What lessons can the teams that did not make the Super Bowl learn from the teams that made the Super Bowl? And one of the lessons the Titans and other teams can learn from the Patriots, specifically the Seahawks to an extent, but mostly the Patriots, is this: front offices can spend their way to a Super Bowl. The Tennessee Titans have the most projected cap space in the NFL. The figure depends on which website you're looking at, but it's around $100 million. The Titans have the most projected cap space in the NFL. You know which team had the most projected cap space entering free agency a year ago?
Patriots.
The New England Patriots. And they spent it all, man. ESPN said they spent $364 million in contract value in the 2025 free agent period. And they went for some name brands. They gave $104 million to Milton Williams, defensive tackle. They gave $63.5 million to Stephon Diggs. They gave $54 million to cornerback Carlton Davis, and they gave $43.5 million to Harold Landry. And I would say that all four of those players have at least somewhat delivered on their contract values. But it's not just the big names. It's the discount shopping, the bin, as we used to refer to it, Willie, the bin shopping.
Right.
You know, when you go to the car wash and there's that cassette tape that's only $2 and it has all of your favorite songs on it, that great, compilation cassette tape. The Patriots did some bargain hunting as well. Robert Spillane, former Tennessee Titans linebacker, starting linebacker for the New England Patriots. He's given them nearly 900 snaps this season. Even Jack Gibbons, backup, nearly 600 snaps. Matt Collins had some big plays for the New England Patriots as a wide receiver. Their starting center this year, they spent less than $5 million on. So the Tennessee Titans, they've got all of this cap space. And the Patriots have shown you that if you spend it wisely, you can spend your way to a Super Bowl. But here's the rub. The Tennessee Titans in spending money recently, it's not been great. They haven't been getting bang for their buck, Derek Mason.
Yeah,
So,
it hadn't worked out for him. So much so that, some of these players may not be here, come this upcoming season, whether Calvin Ridley, L'Jarius Sneed, guys like that may not be here. Why? Because of the high price tag and the low production. So I don't think there's, and maybe Willie, you may see this different. I don't know if, because teams have tried it and teams have been successful. You look at the Dodgers, you look at the Yankees, they've been successful. They went out and spit their way to championships and they've won them. You also can look at teams like the Washington then Redskins who tried to do it. It failed miserably. You can look at the Los Angeles Lakers when they tried to do it. It failed miserably. So you can always point in whatever sport, at least the 4 major sports. Y'all have more knowledge of hockey than I do. So, and it's harder to do in hockey, I think. But, in every sport, just about, teams try to do it. And majority of times it doesn't work. That's why it becomes a cautionary tale. So I don't know how much you can learn from the New England Patriots outside of this, your coaching staff. Because if this is a mediocre coaching staff, I don't care who they go get. Brian Callahan, they tried this last year to go get all these players, and it didn't work. And the coaching staff found themselves looking for jobs the next year, basically the next year. So how much can we learn from the New England Patriots? A little, and that little is a lot in the sense of your coaching staff, how you put your coaching staff together, who's the head of your coaching staff, because we pick out one New England Patriot team that was able to do this. I can pick out 2 or 3 teams that tried to do it, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, there's more penalties in the salary cap. When you bring up the baseball teams, it doesn't always work. But the big spending teams, they have minimal penalties. They can just eat the money if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work in hockey or football or even the NBA to some degree, there's a penalty for it because it takes up your salary cap. You're stuck with the dead money, all of that, and it's hard to get out of it. And so that's the problem, I think, with football. So it's more spending smart and finding the fits. When I think of Spillane, I could always tell the Titans didn't keep Spillane, to my knowledge, when Vrabel was still the coach. But Vrabel, you could tell, liked Spillane and liked the fit that he had in his mindset of what he wants from his players. And obviously Landry and guys like that he brought back. He's got 2 or 3 other guys. You mentioned Gibbons as another guy. It's just a good fit, and those guys don't necessarily break the bank. So I don't know all the money they spent, Adam, but it doesn't seem to me that they have big spending, because sometimes I think the mistake that the Titans have made, and other teams as well, is you overspend to fill a couple of holes, and you get a player that's overpaid, and that sometimes can really jack up your salary cap situation, and you end up cutting guys or moving them out. You pay the dead money, and it adds layers to your problem. I think you got to spend it smart as much as spend the money,
which is what I think the Patriots did.
Yeah,
this past offseason, they did spend big on a few players, but they are getting return on their investment, and they also filled holes with discounted players who are perhaps giving them excess value.
Yeah, and then because again, it's all a get them and cross your fingers, hope that doesn't happen, hope that they don't get injured, or hope that they perform at least halfway decent so you can justify some of it, at least the first year. But I'm not sure if the mistake that the Titans made last year was, going out and getting guys who had injuries, who had been dealing with injuries, even though they were good players.
So who were their top free agents? Dan Moore was the biggest one, but he filled an obvious hole. And I think we acknowledged at the time that the Titans were going to have to overpay for Dan Moore because left tackles don't grow on trees, and he has his limitations.
Exactly.
Tyler Lockett.
No longer on the team.
Yeah,
that was a cheap one. That was pretty cheap.
But
he was sitting there in the middle of the summer with no job, so that didn't cost much. Barton is another one that I thought was a good pickup, but they had to get rid of what was his name? Kenny, who's the other linebacker? They spent pretty big on the year before. They got rid of him
He's
to bring in Barton.
Gosh.
The one they traded to the
He was with-
Cowboys.
He was with the Chargers for a while.
Kenneth Murray.
Kenneth Murray. Yeah, Murray wasn't working. They had spent big on him, so they had to deal him out, cut him, whatever they did to bring in Barton. But I think Barton was a better fit. Now we'll see if they've got a different idea for that position, or do they keep him? But those are examples, because sometimes you have to spend to make up for a bad, like Moore was to try to fix a problem that started when they tried to sign Dillard, right? Dillard was the guy that they hoped was the budget free agent pickup, that, okay, this is going to solve our left tackle problem, and we'll get the best out of him. He's a former first-round pick. He just needs a new change of scenery. That was the idea, and we know how terribly that went.
Yeah, we do. And it's, I even go back the year before that, getting those guys that had, had an injury pass, but was still playing good football. And then they get here and those injuries resurface and they spend more time on the bench than they do out there on the football field. And their production, in some case, was minimal at best, meaning Snead. Now, Calvin Ridley, the year prior, he had 1,000 yards. This year, he couldn't stay on the field because of injuries. And these guys had injury history. So, when you're going out and you're getting individuals, you're going to have to pay a premium for certain guys that you get. But the other guys, and with those certain guys that you get, those high price guys, you got to really make sure that, one, they're fit for what you want and how you're establishing your locker room. And then two, like, seriously, like, if they had a history of injuries, you really got to take that to account, because the Titans have been bit in the behind because of that, going out and getting guys that were still productive but had a injury background. And then those guys get here and they spend more time on the bench than they do on the field because of injury.
Too much in the tub.
Exactly.
Too much in the tub. I would say this. I'm going to use the saying that Terry Crisp taught me, and that is, and he didn't use it in these terms, but it's a saying that he used, and I think it applies here, that I think the free agents need to be the icing on your cake, but they can't be your cake. If you're making a cake of free agents, you're going to lose, because what's the profile of most free agents? 27, 28 years old, and the team that they've been on, they've probably been pretty successful, but not so much that team wants to keep them. And so either that team just has too many good players, which is what you're probably hoping for, best case. But in other cases, they just said, we're moving on from this guy because of what you're saying, Derek. They probably have some injuries, right? They're getting to the age where when you're investing in a guy, when you get 28 or more at most positions and you've had some wear and tear, you're not likely to get healthier. You're probably likely to continue on that path and continue to deal with your body breaking down. So you're not going to be as effective. So you got to sprinkle in free agents. You can't just have the bulk of your roster be free agents. I would venture to say, and I haven't looked at the Patriots backwards and forwards, but I think what we're going to find is they've drafted smart as well, and they've got the quarterback, which makes a huge difference. And they probably built up a couple of things, layers over the last year or two that they had struggled.
615-737-1025. So all of this talk of free agents. Which free agents should the Titans target? I have 5 on my list that have some connection to the Titans, whether it's on the coaching staff or in the front office. And we will discuss those players coming up next. 615-737-1025. Quickly, by the way, one texter says, according to Google, Goofy is classified as a canine, so I guess he's in the dog family. I will take a small victory here.
He's still not a dog.
He wears clothes.
Exactly.
So what?
He wears pants.
Exactly.
Shoes.
Haven't you seen a dog wearing pants?
Scooby-Doo doesn't wear pants.
No.
615.
Fair point.
Pluto doesn't wear pants.
There you
Scrappy
go.
Doo doesn't wear pants.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna
Snoopy doesn't wear pants.
I'm gonna think of a dog that wears pants during the break. 615-737-1025.
Oh no, Clifford doesn't.
Air Bud, he doesn't wear pants.
He wears a jersey.
That's not pants.
He still doesn't wear any shorts, so take that.
615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game.
Darkwing Duck.
You got it. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 the game. Matt, by the way, on our text line, says all we need to say about our goofy argument. Matt says Snoop Dogg wears pants. I rest my case.
Yeah, but Snoop's not a dog.
That's a fact.
Snoop Dogg wears pants. Dog is
does.
in his name, so he wears pants. and
D-A-W-G.
Well, he
Well,
is.
it is spelled D-O-double-G.
know.
He is D-O.
D-O-double-G.
Right.
So
The double G would indicate that is different than a DOG.
Exactly.
Fair point. Fair point.
Ah.
now, what if I told you that Goofy's original name was Dippy Dog, D-A-W-G, which
That's
it
That would
was,
be-
which
That
it
would
was.
be worthy evidence.
Yes.
That would be worthy evidence to the argument. But that does not change the fact that he wears pants.
Yeah, he does. No dog that we know wears pants.
That's a
Again,
fact.
Snoop Dogg wears pants.
2 G's. He's no longer a dog. 2 G's.
Okay.
He's a
Thank
different
you.
kind of dog.
Thank you for bringing that up too, Willie. Because I almost
Glad to
lost
do
that
it.
argument.
Glad to be of service.
I almost lost that argument. You said, no, it's 2 G's. I'm like, you're right.
Okay. Since we're talking about free agency and how the Patriots spent their way to the Super Bowl, it also helped to have Drake May, but they spent a lot of money in free agency last season. They've gotten a lot of bang for their buck. So the obvious follow-up question is, which free agents should the Titans target this offseason? And in the interest of time, I have listed 5. And I will list them here. All 5 of them have a tie to the Titans in some form or fashion. And I'll let you guys take it whichever way you want to, if any of these players tickles your fancy, so to speak. Running back Breece Hall, who played for Robert Saleh with the Jets. Wide receiver Jawan Jennings, who was on the same team as Robert Saleh this past season. Wide receiver Wan'Dale Robinson, whom Brian Daboll coached with the Giants. Here's one I had to dig deep for. Deebo Samuel. Deebo Samuel would have been with Robert Saleh in San Francisco before Robert Saleh became the head coach of the New York Jets. And cornerback Jalen Watson in Kansas City, he overlapped with Mike Borgonzi. That's my list of 5.
Okay, let's start from the bottom. And I'm just going to talk, and I'm going to pass it to Willie and see if, see what he thinks about a player. The last player and this is going to be quick.
Jalen Watson.
Nope. You tried the Kansas City thing, the whole Spags defense, playing in that defense. You went and got Snead, played great with Spags, come here, and he's a shell of himself. And I get some of it was, majority of it probably was injury, but even when he was healthy out there playing, it wasn't what I was expecting. From a guy that I had watched that I thought was a top 2 or 3 corner in the National Football League. So it shouldn't be that way, but maybe this guy is more scheme guy than anything. If he fits your scheme, great, but I wouldn't be trying to go out there and spend top dollar for this guy, especially if he doesn't fit the scheme, because the last guy that they brought here didn't fit the scheme, and we saw how that went.
Willie, are you
I
spooked
don't
the
think-
same way?
Well, I don't know enough to really be able to tell you who's a fit. Like when I think of Spillane and Harold Landry and guys like that for the Patriots, I think of fit. Mike Vrabel knew what he was looking for. He knew those players. And so he had a good feel that they would fit in his system. I couldn't tell you about the defensive guys. I am curious about the one thing. I'm trying to find some numbers on Breece Hall because I do think you need an upgrade at tailback. It's nothing against Tony Pollard, who I think is very good, but for his price, I think you want something
More
that's
dynamic.
got a little more upgrade. Yeah, somebody who's going to pop some big plays. Somebody who's going to plant a seed in the defense's mind, saying, "I think we got to make sure we stop this guy."
Jeremiah Love. Draft
Well, that's a major investment. If you want to go
Yes.
there, that could work. That could solve that problem, but you're not. Is that the best way to use that chip that you have? Breece Hall, the numbers on the surface look pretty good. I mean, year in and year out, he's not riddled by injury. He had the one bad knee injury a few years ago, but by and large, He's been in there. He played 16 games last year for a bad team. 4.4 yards per carry, but his efficiency wasn't great on the FTN fantasy that I see. So I don't know. The one thing that I was curious, and Derek, you're the best guy to answer this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe with Jennings. Ted Wynn said that Brian Daboll has always had the really good, shifty slot receiver that can really get you first downs, catch a lot of passes, and be a focal point of the offense. And you go back through the years about a lot of those guys, Troy Brown and Wes Welker, and those guys through the years in New England. So is Jennings that type of guy? Is there a guy out there in that mix that could fill that role for the Titans?
I don't think. Okay,
Why not Wan'Dale Robinson?
I think Jennings is a really good receiver, and he can play that slot position because he's played it at San Fran and he's been really good at it. His efficiency is good, especially on third downs. He's a chain mover. So he could fit, and he's tough, but he's dealt with injuries too, man. He was injured last year, but still played through it. But man, you're talking about a guy that has, because of his style of play, he's dealt with a lot of injuries. So he's young, but still, like, man, is that worth, spending a lot of money on? Now, if you can get him for a good deal, then possibly. But Wan'Dale what's his name? Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't know why I said White. Wan'Dale Robinson.
There used to be a Rondale White.
Yes.
You're thinking of the running back.
He was a baseball player.
Yes.
The running back. The Expos. Rondale White, outfielder.
No, I wasn't thinking about him.
You're thinking about Lendell White.
Lendell White.
Yes.
The running back. But
play for the Titans.
Absolutely. Hell of a running back. And it was hell of a back in college. But I think Wan'Dale fits sort of the Cole Beasley, what we talked about with Ted Wynn the other day, that Cole Beasley type of slot receiver, shifty, got some speed, may not be the biggest guy, but is reliable. He can work that middle, the way you need him to. So he could be a fit. Now, I mean, he's a smaller individual.
5'8", 185 pounds.
But when you talk about catching the football, this dude doesn't drop footballs, and he's explosive. So that could be a guy that they choose to keep. But why would the Giants and John Harbaugh let him go? Especially with Neighbors coming back, and he was productive last year, meaning Wan'Dale. So why would they let him go? That's what I'm saying.
Well, the Titans could potentially pay him more than the Giants can.
There's a possibility, but I'm thinking there's going to, the Giants are going to make a hard push for him because he has been productive, and Malik Neighbors is just coming back from an injury, so they need all the cohesiveness they can get at that position with the quarterback. But if they choose not to, or they allow him to, test the market, then the Titans should make an aggressive move if indeed Daboll feels he fits, still fits what he wants to do with the Titans.
Do you think Deebo Samuel has anything left in the tank?
I wouldn't touch Deebo with a 10-foot pole. He's too injury prone, man. Deebo was a damn good gadget player for a quick minute there. And then because of the way he played the game, the aggressive way he played the game, and how they used him, they basically ran that dude in the ground. That's what they did. They got, in San Fran, they got, 2 good years out of him? 3, maybe? And then the rest of it, he was injury prone. Then he goes to Washington, it's the same thing. So I wouldn't touch the Deebo. I think Deebo was a very good player in this league. I think he's just he's a veteran guy that, you can depend on, but he's not bringing him to this young team. No.
I like Breece Hall quite a bit. I like the running ability. He can make plays, explosive plays, as both a runner and a pass catcher. And you're hoping that on that's the rub there. Like I was about to say, you're hoping that maybe on a more talented team, he could be even better. But are the Titans that significantly more talented?
Well, it seemed like toward the end of the season, their offensive line was blocking better. So you put a Breece Hall behind that offensive line, then you do, because you got to understand, before that injury, Brees Hall had a really good season, I think, before the injury. And then after injury, he slowly started to regain form. But that team is so bad that, I know his EPA was low. Well, look at the team. He had nothing to run in front of or behind.
615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on free agency. Here were the 5 players I polled who have connections to the Titans in some manner. Brees Hall, Jawan Jennings, Wandale Robinson, Deebo Samuel, and Jalen Watson. 615-737-1025. We'll take your thoughts on that. Coming up next, 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We hope you are having a safe commute home if you are commuting home. The weather out there is frightful. I don't know. I can't see out the window. I know it was flurrying when
It's
I
still
came in here.
daylight. I know that.
Yeah, you know how I feel. I'm one of those sickos that likes that stretch of 6 weeks in November where it gets dark at like 4 o'clock. I don't know why, but that's just how I am.
You're strange. Man.
Maybe that
You're
explains a
strange.
lot. Maybe it explains a lot. A lot of people want to weigh in on the great Goofy debate of 2026. Is he a dog? We'll never know.
He wears pants. There you go. That's all we need to say.
I guess. We'll continue to take your thoughts on the Tennessee Titans, 615-737-1025. But I do want to touch on something else football related. The Senior Bowl is tomorrow in Mobile, Alabama. And Diego Pavia will be playing in the Senior Bowl tomorrow in Mobile, Alabama. And I am fascinated, Derek, by Diego Pavia's NFL draft prospects because he weighed in. I'm sorry, he did not weigh in. He measured in at 5'8" and 7/8 of an inch. I believe Vanderbilt had him listed at 6 feet. So Diego Pavia weighed in at 5'8" and 7/8 of an inch. As he told ESPN, it kind of screwed me. I was 5'10", I promise.
Wow. Okay.
Nevertheless,
Oh man.
I heard
Doug Flutie.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to play a clip from Todd McShay. So Todd McShay, NFL draft analyst, used to be with ESPN. Now I think he's associated with The Ringer. He's down at the Senior Bowl. And here's what he had to say about Diego Pavia. I thought this was interesting.
I don't think Diego Pavia can play quarterback in the NFL. You watch him during team sessions, and you watch him during some of the 7-on-7 stuff, and there's some fun things to watch, man. Arm angle changes, on the move, initial play breaks down. He just has unbelievable instincts. And I think that's part of what made him so special at Vanderbilt, why they won all those games. But when you watch him just like the 1-on-1, 7-on-7s, having to drive the ball, NFL throws, it's not the same as the other guys. It's tough to see because it's not like he did it in the WAC or FCS. He did it in the SEC. So it's hard to say definitively, like, this guy can't play in the NFL. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you watch him out there, you just start to wonder, like, are the limitations going to be too much at the next level?
So what is the best case, Derek, for Diego Pavia? What's the best case scenario for him in the NFL?
At first, Todd McShay, I think he broke it down perfectly. And I think this is what, people are asking themselves, when it comes to Diego or players like Diego, because you see him and he's performing at a high clip. This guy was, runner up to Heisman in the SEC. So you look at that, it's like, man, he did it at the top, in the top conference in the country. But Big Ten says otherwise, and I agree with the Big Ten. But for this exercise, he does it in the SEC. Well, what I want people to understand is that college quarterbacking and NFL quarterbacking is two different things. It's like night and day. I say that not just based upon, the ability to play the game or, having to, you're graduating from one level and going up to another level. So the competition is different, not just because of that, but because of the fields and how they space themselves out. The college game, and because of the hashes, they make you cover every inch of the field. And Vanderbilt in that offense was great at that. And Diego, he mastered that offense and running that offense. And he was able to do some things in that offense that, people didn't think could be done at Vanderbilt. But is that transferable to the NFL? Because of the height, because of the lack of the arm strength, it is a daunting task for him to be a starting quarterback. Now, again, I've seen quarterbacks worse than him play in this league, okay, as backups. So I'm not going to sit here and say he can't play in the NFL. But it's going to be hard with the measurables and how the game shrinks for him to be more than a backup. I mean, it can happen, but honestly, the odds are against him big time.
Willie, before you chime in, one texter says, y'all don't get it twisted now. Don't screw my boy more than he already is. He's 5'9" and 7/8. Y'all cheating him out of an inch. I misspoke. He's not 5'8", and he's not 5'8" and 7/8. He's 5'9" and 7/8. So
That
my
makes more sense.
apologies.
That would
big.
match my eye test.
Yes, my apologies to that texter and Diego Pavia. John on our text line says he's 5'9". Best case is UFL, CFL, etc. But Willie, he did ask I don't know if you can call this a rhetorical question, but he did ask this question to ESPN. When has the last SEC player of the year not been drafted?
Well, I think as Derek points out, it is a different game. In the NFL game is a different game than the college game. So that's for starters. But I will say this about Diego. He's been fighting this his whole life. I equate it to UC Soros, guy Dustin Pedroia. Pick your favorite undersized player in whatever sport. Maybe it's Doug Flutie. Mm-hmm. He just needs one team to believe in him enough to give him a chance. And that's different than, there might be 30 teams, maybe 31 teams that believe what Todd McShay thinks. They just I can't see it. I can't see it. But that doesn't mean that if he gets in there, he doesn't just find a way to help a team somehow. I can't see him being an every week starter for any time, but I could see him making a team and being a guy that contributes somehow. That's probably best case. And maybe even a team takes a flyer in the 6th or the 7th round and thinks enough of him to do that. But he's not supposed to make it, right? Everybody would say the same thing, but I'm sure everybody was saying the same thing when he came from New Mexico State. Guys like him why would you want a guy like him? And here he is, now as the Heisman runner-up, a guy that was as good as anybody in the country doing what he did. So it is a different game. He'll have to adapt. D-Mace makes a great point about the hashes, right? He doesn't have a cannon for an arm, but he's just one of those guys that has a knack. And, if I were a team, if nothing else, would it hurt to bring him out there and just see what he looks like in a training camp? I think he'll get that shot.
But what would his role be on an NFL team, Derek? My first thought was, could he be a Taysom Hill-like player for an NFL team? Taysom Hill does a little bit of everything. Mm-hmm. He's played quarterback. He plays tight end. He plays on special teams. The difference, of course, is Taysom Hill is built like an NFL quarterback. Mm-hmm. Diego Pavia at 5'9", not 5'8". 5'9" and 7/8 is clearly not built like an NFL quarterback. So what would his role be on an NFL team?
A backup quarterback. Start off as a practice squad quarterback. And I'm just and listen, I know people here that love Diego and think I'm hating, maybe hate. I'm just giving you reality. How many 5'8" quarterbacks are in the NFL?
5'9".
5'9". Maybe one.
Still, you can count them on one hand.
Maybe one. Kyler Murray, but he's not 5'9". He's like 5'10", isn't he? 5'11".
I'd say he's around the same, right?
But
I think Doug Flutie, and I don't know how tall Bryce Young is. He's not very tall.
Bryce Young is 5'10".
I think he's 5'10".
Yeah, Bryce Young is 5'10". But with these quarterbacks, the arm talent was a little bit different than Diego's. Obviously, you go back to Doug Flutie, won the Heisman. His arm talent was much different than Diego's. I think Bryce Young's arm talent is much different than Diego's. Honestly speaking, it's just like it's a long shot to be anything outside of a backup quarter. And the part for him that's
Sure.
messed up is he's a football player, but I don't see him playing any other position. He's a
Right.
quarterback. He is a quarterback. But he's one of those guys. He's just a football player, but I can't see him playing running back or receiver or tight end. I see
he's
him as a
He's
quarterback.
not fast. He's not super fast in terms of a 40 time. He's a smart runner. He's a get it done. He's high in the Hal Gill stat that he always likes to say in hockey, the get it done tivity, right? He's a get it done. So the long shot word, I think, is 100% accurate, Derek. But I think if I'm Diego Pavia, I would just be telling people in interviews, been a long shot my whole life.
Exactly.
I wasn't recruited by anybody, right?
Use
I've
it.
always had to prove myself. Use that to your advantage and say, here's my get it done activity. I just want a shot. I think one team will give him a shot.
I think the shortest modern quarterbacks are Bryce Young and Kyler Murray, at least active in the NFL. Drew Brees, I think, was listed at 6 foot.
He was right at 6 foot.
Right. Doug Flutie's what, 5'10", thereabouts? So I'm looking at a random list on Google of the shortest quarterbacks. And when you get down to 5'7", 5'8", you're getting into guys who played in like the 50s and 60s with names like Henry Two Bits Homan, 5'5", early NFL quarterback.
When the general population was shorter back then.
Yes, that as well.
It's just, to me, like, Diego, does he have the grit to play the game? Does he have the mentality? Does he have the smarts to play the game? Yes, has all of those. Probably have him in spades too. But that one thing, the measurable, he's not even close to the measurables. He doesn't have them. And that is what's going to keep him from, one, getting drafted higher. I think he may still end up getting drafted. And then two, them seriously giving him a look to be something outside of a backup quarterback. And I'm just real talk. I mean, just think, if Tim Tebow was 5'8", he wouldn't have got a shot to play quarterback in the NFL. I don't care what the hell he did at Florida. He wouldn't have got a shot to be a starting quarterback, or 5'9", excuse me. He wouldn't have got a shot at being a starting quarterback in the NFL. Nobody would have given him that shot. But he wasn't. The measurables. If Diego was 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, oh, for sure, it wouldn't even be a question. But because of the measurables, people just look at him as a backup to a long shot.
Let's go to our phone line, driven by Wilson County, Hyundai.com, and welcome in our friend, Dr. Locke. Dr. Locke, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, fellas? I haven't called in a while. What's going on, teammates?
Hey.
Who was the Nebraska quarterback? 5'7", 5'8", tough as nails.
Eric Crouch.
Could run through walls.
Crouch or Frazier? Yeah. Tommy Frazier.
No, Couch is the one I'm thinking
okay.
of. Could real gritty player, real tough player. That's kind of the Pavia that I'm seeing, but I think he was a short guy too. He went on to the pros and he ended up taking his shoulder pads off, and he was just covered in bruises and I don't even think he made a team. And that style of nose down, running through, I mean, he's going to get hurt if he tries that in the pros. And it worked for him in college. He was a hell of a college player, but it's not going to translate. You guys are right. If the intangibles aren't there, it's not going to translate to the pros. Okay, prove me wrong if you want, but I don't see it. At 5'9", there's a big difference between 5'8" and 6 foot. It's a big difference. That's like 6'9" and 7 foot in the NBA. Big difference.
Thank you for the call, Dr.
Thank you,
Locke.
Dr. Locke. Again, I mean, like Willie said, use it as to an advantage. The story is, I've been doing this my whole life, so there's nothing new. Just give me a shot and I'll prove you wrong. But will a GM be willing to do that? That's at least from a draft me standpoint, not from a bring me in as a free agent, undrafted free agent, and let me sort of, be the guy on the outside looking in. No, as a draftee, You got to sell that to them. Like, dude, I've been 5'9" basically for the last 8 years. And look what I've done in college. I've done nothing but excel at every stop that I've been. And tell them it'll be the same here in the NFL. Just give me a shot. That's what he has to sort of lean into, and then going to the workouts and showing them that his arm is stronger than what we saw during the season. And maybe because of his style of play and him getting beat up and everything, that does affect how the ball comes off his arm. Well, let's see you when you're fresh, hadn't been hit through these drills. Let's see if you do have that arm that we hope you have, or that accuracy that we hope you have.
Let's go to Mike from Old Hickory on our phone line. Mike, thank you for calling. Go ahead.
How you doing, guys?
Good, thank you.
Doing good.
I got to ask a technical question on heights of quarterbacks and weights, and then offensive lines that protect them. And my question is, do we want a 6 foot, let's say 6'8", 300-pound lineman on the offense who's 6'8", or do we want a 6'3" or 4" offensive lineman that's 360 pounds but strong and covers up those gaps between the legs, so that the 6 foot or 5'10" or maybe even 5'9" quarterback can see over them? So what I want to ask is, what is Cam Ward's actual height and weight? And are we going for an offensive line that's going to cover that up to block him to see, or lower those offensive line guys down to 360 pounds and 6'3"?
Thank you for the call, Mike.
That's an interesting question.
Cam Ward is listed at 6'2", 219 pounds on his NFL draft profile.
So that's pretty close, if not accurate, 100% accurate. But I'm sure, when you're putting together your team, and if you have a quarterback that's 6 foot under, you think about sort of that height discrepancy. But I think what happens is, when you have a quarterback, say like Bryce Young, you go out and get a Ted McMillan. Why? Because Ted is 6'5", and he had a huge catch radius. So things don't have to be as perfect. I think that's why you started to see Bryce Young play a little bit better. Because if I'm not the 6'2", 6'3" guy, and I'm 5'10", 5'11", 6 foot, I do have a hard time seeing over those guys at times. So the guys that I'm throwing to, that's why you see them going to much taller, especially on the outside, much bigger guys. Because when you're not over 6'2", it probably is hard for the quarterback to see back there.
615-737-1025. The Senior Bowl is tomorrow in Mobile, Alabama. Diego Pavia will be playing. What do you think about his NFL draft prospects? As he told ESPN, when has the last SEC player of the year not been drafted? He measured in at 5'9" and 7/8 this week. Your thoughts?
I mean, let's round up. Let's say 5'10". Come on, give it to him.
He's definitely
Give him
5'10".
5'10".
Just give it to him.
7/8
With his shoes on, he 5'10" and some change.
Give him 5'10". Let the man say 5'10".
I like precise measurements.
Adam's the numbers guy.
Yes, I like precise measurements. You can round up. I will keep saying 5'9" and 7/8.
I'm rounding up to 6'3" when I give my height. I was, without shoes, I'm probably 6'2" and 3/5 or something like that. But I'm saying 6'3". Dang it! I put my shoes
and
on.
You ain't gonna dispute it. Ain't nobody gonna dispute it.
I'm not disputing anything. I was listed at 6'4" in high school. Come on, we all did it.
So you've shrunk since then, is what you're telling me.
Hey, when we get older,
I've been the same height the entire time. But it's just what you think you are.
It's just a little lie. It's not a big lie. It's a little lie.
It's an inch. That's it.
Not
Not even an inch.
It takes two to lie, one to lie and one to listen. 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. You got it, Derek?
Tailspin.
Tailspin.
Yes,
It gave it away.
God.
It gave it away.
Mm-mm.
Okay. So for those of you who are listening and like, why are we playing Disney cartoon theme songs? Every Friday, we all take a turn being the DJ for the day. And this was my week. And as I'm sure a lot of you have been experiencing, your kids are at home all week. My son has been at home all week. We got a note today that he may not be back at school for at least another week, if not two.
Oh, wow.
And I'm freaking the hell out about that. But I've been trying to get him to watch these cartoons because these are the cartoons I watched when I was his age.
Mm-hmm.
Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, DuckTales, all of that. Zero interest. Arlo has zero interest. He just wants to watch the shows he likes. He does not want to watch daddy's shows. So I said, you know what? I'm going to bring the theme songs to the show, damn it.
Hey,
So we can enjoy them.
just casually put it on every now and then and watch it. He gonna come in there and watch it with you eventually.
I mean, the great thing about kids is that you can teach them to love the things you love and hate the things you hate.
There you go.
Yeah.
Start them young.
Is there something you're especially proud that you taught your children to love or hate?
Wow, man.
Other than Michigan.
Other than yeah, I taught them to hate Michigan.
Speaking of that, we got a
And
little
love
we got
Michigan
a little
State.
game to discuss tonight.
Oh, we will be getting
we
to
will
that
discuss
at
that.
the
Very
end
good,
of the
very good.
show.
Just a little sidebar.
At the end of the show, we will be getting to that.
I don't know. Outside of just family stuff, I don't know. I haven't outside of the things you should teach your kids what to like and not like or dislike or appreciate or respect.
You know, one thing
I can't. Oh, this is what
okay.
old music, 80s, 90s,
Mm.
more 80s music,
Yes.
Temptations, all of that, the Spinners, music like that. I condition my kids to love that type of music or that genre of music or that what was it? That era of music.
Yeah.
I played it so much where they love it. They listen to it. They can appreciate it. So that's one thing I'm proud of. Like I gave them a little bit of what my parents gave me.
Yeah. Willie,
That
what
old
about
school
you?
Music.
Oh, I would agree 100% on the music. I think I've done well there. Vanderbilt sports. It's not for everybody.
Well, it's great now.
Yeah, but they had to go through the tough times.
Yeah.
It's more
Woo.
valuable when you come through the fire.
I gotta
Yes.
commend
A
you on
lot
that
more
one,
tough
Willie.
times.
I
You
gotta
had to
commend you
toughen
on
them
that
up.
one.
You had to toughen them up.
That might have been your
Toughen 'em up.
greatest feat right there.
The Mets still, but Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
Hey, things are going well
Yeah.
for Vanderbilt right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, my son is also a Mets fan, so he
Oh.
goes through that pain as well.
Oh,
Well,
man.
here's
There's a lot
one
to deal with.
one thing I've actually noticed my son doing lately is, for example, last night I had the Predators game on. I was watching Willie Donick, who's 6'4", and Chris Mason called the game on FanDuel Sports Network, and he was taking interest in the game. He was asking what all the numbers were at the bottom of the screen.
Mhm.
He was getting really agitated that the score wasn't changing. He wanted the score to change. He goes, "Why are the numbers still the same?" I said, "Because someone has to score." And he fell asleep before Nico Hischier scored the overtime winner for the New Jersey Devils. So he did not see the score change. And I do want to get to the Predators in just a moment. But back to Diego Pavia, who will be playing in the Senior Bowl tomorrow. One texter says, how valuable is a player in your locker room who has the ability to bring the team together with the attitude of the biggest dog on the planet? You can't measure that in millions. And to me, Diego will bring that wherever he goes, whatever he is doing on the team.
I understand what the texter is saying, but I think in the pros, if you're asking a young guy to be that, then you don't have a really good locker room. Not to say he couldn't ultimately grow into that, meaning having that leadership on the team. But coming in as a rookie, they're not looking for him to do any of that. So I get what the caller's saying. I mean, the texter's saying, but that's not. I don't think, especially in his situation, I'm not sure if GMs are looking at it from that standpoint. Is he a hell of a leader from that respect? From what we've seen at his time in Vanderbilt. Yes, he has been. But you're not if you're drafting him, it's going to be a late draft pick or free. You're not bringing him in to be that leader like that.
But I do think that if a team said, you know what, Diego, we'll get you in there every once in a while, but we need you to be the spark. We need you to be that guy. He would absolutely do it.
I think he would. But I think also, if that's all you asking him to be, he's a competitor. He's like, no, I want to be out there. Ultimately, I want to prove to you that I'm not just some damn hype guy. I want to go out there and play. Now, if he want to relegate himself to a hype guy, then he's not a competitor. He's not. And Diego is a damn competitor. He's going to want to be out there on the field. So you can't just say, bring him in and say, hey, we just want you to be, the hype guy. We just want you to make sure everybody's. Diego's going to look at you like, man, I want to play. Make me a coach if you want me to be a hype guy. Be a coach and maybe, and I don't have to go
that
through
might
all
serve
that
him well
stuff.
in that capacity someday. But I think he would want to use those traits to get on the field, right? I think that's what that would be. I think that's what you're saying,
Yes.
Derek, and I agree. He's not just trying to be a good clubhouse guy like anybody who's in the league. I don't think they keep you in the league just because you're a good guy or you're a good, you bring that to the table, you're a competitor, et cetera. They don't, they want somebody who they think can help a team on the field at some point, because you never know when those guys come out. There's legendary stories of people in the Super Bowl who spent the whole year on the practice squad, and all of a sudden they've got to play, and you need somebody who can get it done.
One texter says, I taught my daughters to hate the color orange. I'm a Gamecocks fan, by the way. I threw away all the orange crayons when they were little.
Wow, that's going really far right there.
I wouldn't be surprised if that happened in the Donick household.
Man,
never to that extreme. Of course, the Mets have got some orange. So
That
the shade of orange.
That is
the shade
true.
of orange is important.
Yes. So let's quickly, I do want to get a quick Predators thought in here. The Predators wrap up their road trip tomorrow against the New York Islanders. Puck drop at 6, pregame at 5, right here on 102.5 The Game. They lost again last night, 3-2 in overtime to the Devils, their second consecutive 3-2 overtime loss. And Willie, I don't know if there are many cooler goals you can score in the NHL than a slap shot off the rush, which is what Nico Hischier did yesterday. You don't see that as much anymore in the NHL. That was a wicked shot by Hischier to win the game for the Devils. The Predators fall to 1-3-2 in their past 6 games. They are 5 points out of the second wild card spot in the Western Conference. That one win required a comeback from 3-0 down. So the Predators perilously close to being 0 for their past 6, but 1-3-2 in their past 6. And I know I said this the other day, but I am beginning to wonder if reality is setting in. The Predators did a commendable job getting back into the race. They were one of the best teams in the league from late November through mid-January, but the offense has dried up a bit. The goaltending hasn't been as stellar over the past couple of weeks. And again, it leads us to wonder exactly what Barry Trotz is going to do. But I'm wondering if this stretch of 5 losses in 6 games puts the Predators back to where maybe we thought they would be when the season started.
It's interesting. I thought last night they probably should have won the game. They outplayed the Devils. I thought the Devils were a little more opportunistic, and they got, I thought, a really good game from their goalie. And the Predators missed an opportunity to get a win where Jack Hughes was lost early in the game, which is a situation you hope to take advantage of. But, I think they're playing well. I think the sense that I get as you're watching and you listen to Barry Trotz is it's still a wait and see. I think this team should be very much commended for rallying the way they have to get to this point. And over time, over 82 games, you end up being what you're supposed to be, right? You are what your record says you are, right? The numbers can be like last night in the Predators' favor, but you lose. There have been games during this run where the Predators have had to steal it with a good game from their goalie. Plenty of times that's happened, as you pointed out, Adam. We're aware of that. So all that to say, maybe they're coming back down to earth a little bit, but their record is pretty much what their numbers tell you that they are. I think. So do they have another uptick where they can win? What do they have? 4 games left before the break. Could they go, 2-0-2 or 3-1, something like that, and feel a little bit better about themselves? Maybe. But either way, I think the reality is they on paper or they appear after this many games to be a team that's about what their record says, around a 500 team. And that would probably tell you that that's leaning towards selling some guys and playing for down the road, maybe a retool, something like that with what they have. They do have, as Elliot's pointed out many times, some attractive pieces to trade. But if they surprise people, then the plot will thicken. But you just sit back and wait. This game is big because if you win this game tomorrow against the Islanders, who are a very good team, that's another great example of a retool, right? They got lucky. They won the lottery. Their first pick in Matthew Schaefer is a game changer, or as Barry Trotz says, an accelerator, right? He's made them a way better team overnight at age 18. That is lightning in a bottle to win the lottery and get a player like that. And so the Islanders on paper look like a fairly ordinary team, a middle-of-the-road kind of team until you add Schaefer. Now, all of a sudden, they're feeling pretty good about stuff. And in the Eastern Conference, they could be a playoff team. So I don't know if I made any sense with that, Adam, but is that a fairly accurate statement of where they are? They are where they are.
Yes. And I just wonder, how much longer the Predators can wait and see. You know what I mean? There are only, 8, 9 games left until the actual NHL trade deadline, because remember, they're not going to be playing for most of the month of February because of the Olympics. So how far ahead do you want to get when it comes to making deals? You mentioned Elliot Freeman on our show. There are, of course, the big names, Ryan O'Reilly, Steven Stamkos, but there are others, Michael Bunting, Michael McCarron. I mean, do you want to take this right up until the deadline, or do you see what happens in these next 3-4 games before the Olympic break? And then as soon as you're able to come back out and make trades, you start making trades. You don't wait until the last minute. So that's what I'm wondering about. How much longer can the Predators wait and see? Is it?
I think you could wait and see until the deadline, honestly. But that it just depends. If you get that great, Hal Gill, in a conversation we had at dinner the other night, he said, "Hey, my house is not for sale." And then somebody comes to you and says, "I'll offer you, $50 million for your house." Oh, yes, as a matter of fact, my house is for sale. Right there could be an offer that just knocks your socks off and makes you rethink some things. So that would be a thing. But I think you have the ability to take it to the other side of the Olympic break if you want to. And if I think too, you want to give the team every opportunity to give themselves a shot to reach their potential before you pull the plug, right? I think it's hard to do. Because when you're in there and you're rooting for them every night, you want to see them be the best that they could be. And if I've watched it happen. I remember walking into this very building. We're going to have the game tomorrow on Long Island. The team arrived at the arena and they found out that Gus Nyquist was traded. They were already way out of it, but you could already tell it was still it's still a blow when you lose a guy that's a big part of your team. And definitely happened when they traded Nino Niederreiter a couple of years prior to that. It's just tough to go through, but it's part of the necessary building or rebuilding of a team. So if they win this game tomorrow against a really good team, they can come home and say they won another week. 1-0-2 is a good road trip against 3 good teams. So, they're still moving in the right direction in a lot of respects, but it's still, in the big picture, a team that has its limitations, right?
615-737-1025. Again, Predators back in action tomorrow night against the New York Islanders. Puck drop at 6, pregame at 5. I will be having your pre and post game coverage for that game tomorrow. Chase McCabe getting a well-deserved night off. 615-737-1025 will wrap up the week by taking it to the bank. Coming up next, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. As we wrap up the week, it's time to take it to the bank with our friends at F&M Bank, where their mission is to make lives better by making banking easier. You can visit one of their locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. Before we get to our selections for this week, David James will recap what happened last week. David James.
So sorry, I had a.
If you please, if you will, if you please.
Don't worry,
I know you're doing a lot of things. You're doing a lot of things.
Okay, so first off, let's go off with. Oh wait, let me put Willie up. So first off, let's go to the first question that Willie asked, which was the over/under 1.5 turnovers for Jarrett Stidham. He got 2 turnovers, so Willie's the only one that said the over, and me, Adam, and D-Mays all said under, and he got the over.
Boo.
Unfortunately, that interception at the end really.
Boo. Willie, you're back down to 6'2".
No, he's 6'1" now. He's demoted a few sizes.
You're shrinking even more.
And then the other one, which was the over/under 1.5 turnovers for Sam Darnold. He didn't throw any interceptions or had any turnovers. And Willie was the only one that said under.
Boo.
Wow.
That takes me down to 5'11".
Yep, pretty much so. And you're losing weight.
No, you're gaining weight.
He's still the same way.
You're getting shorter and bigger.
Oh my goodness.
Now let's go to Adam with your first pick, which was Puka would have more receiving yards than Jackson Smith in Jigba. I don't think that he did.
No, he did.
Oh, he did?
Oh, he did.
They both had good games, but Puka had a huge game.
Okay, I didn't know. Okay, then that was on me.
Let me confirm. Hold on. Let's
What are the
confirm.
numbers?
I thought he did.
I got it. Nakua had 165. Smith and Jigba had 153.
Okay, that's on me. That's on me.
I mean, they both had huge games.
I'll take accountability on that one. And you also said that Duke would cover 18.5. I don't think it was even a question at first. I mean, again, Duke got that. So you have 6 points for a total of 92 total points.
Hot diggity.
Now let's go to Willie. All right, Willie's had the lead for a while, so that's why he's not complaining as much anymore. So Willie, you said at least a 53 after we bullied you, a 53-yard field goal. That didn't happen. There wasn't even close.
They tried
the shot
multiple
they had
times.
The shot.
They had the
two
shot.
shots right before the half, before the bad weather kicked in Denver. They had the shot, and they missed both of them.
So you didn't get any points from that, and you also said the Seahawks -2.5. That did happen. You did get
Boom.
that. So there you go.
Thank you to the 4th and 4 stop in the end zone where they ran the wrong. Did you see that? They ran the wrong defense, but it ended up being the right thing because they ended up having 2 guys go to the running back that Stafford wanted to throw to. I didn't get all the details of the exact play, and I don't understand it all, but they showed it. I don't know, but they talked openly about it. Did you see that, D-Mace, where they executed the wrong defensive call, but it turned out to be the perfect coverage of the play, and Stafford sort of got confused and threw to the back of the end zone on that 4th and 4, and they got the stop.
That's crazy. And so you got
now I'm down to 5'9".
5'8" and
you keep
7,
shrinking, Willie.
7
Yeah, 5'8" and 7'8".
And so you got 7 points for a total of 111 total
He's
points.
still winning.
So he's got the big lead.
Okay.
D-Mace, you said under Denver versus Pats. That happened.
Yes,
big time.
I knew that was going to happen.
And then you said Michigan State would cover and win. They did. You got a total of 6 points for 76 total points.
That was only 6 points, man.
Whoa. Man.
I just threw it out there.
It's
I'm
5 points now.
I'm not complaining.
You know what?
No,
4 points.
I'm
You only
not
get 4 points
complaining.
now.
I'm just asking a question. Like,
Yeah.
that was only 6 points.
Now
Okay.
it's 3 points.
Yeah. No, he gets no points. No more.
-5.
Okay, now let's go to
Let's
myself.
go to you.
I picked Memphis over. I don't even remember who we picked, but Memphis lost. That's all I need to know. And then MTSU head coach Rick Insell would get his 500th win, and he did.
Ding,
So I
ding,
got
ding, ding.
3 points for that for a total of 81 total points.
All righty. So let's go to our individual selections. No football this weekend, so I had to get a little creative. So let's start here. 7 p.m. tonight, Fox, number 3 Michigan at number 7 Michigan State. The spread, as I see it now, Michigan favored on the road by 2.5. Who you got? Derek Mason.
Do we even have to ask?
He's totally picking Michigan, right?
Yes. He's hedging his
Seriously?
bets.
Yeah, do I even have to? That's like, I should be in an uproar like people in an
So
uproar.
Derek
Bill
takes
Belichick.
Michigan.
State.
Willie, who you got? Michigan at Michigan State.
You know what? I'm going to go watch this game. And Mace, you know Nick Barnowski from our staff, our media relations guy. Adam, you know him as well. He is a proud Spartan.
No
So
doubt.
he has asked the group. To gather around with him tonight
Okay.
and watch the contest. So there's no question. I've got to go with the Spartans. I can't root for Michigan against the. I got to go with my guys, my buddies. They're state people.
Come on, man.
I'm taking
Michigan,
the Sparties.
Michigan coming
Go
off.
green.
Go white.
Michigan coming off a big win, knocking Nebraska from the unbeaten ranks. So if my memory serves, the only 2 unbeaten teams left in the country, Arizona and Miami of Ohio, who had that on their bingo card. I'm taking the Wolverines.
I mean, come on.
I'm not even
Cricket.
Come
talking.
on, Adam.
I'm not even
That's
talking
just-
to you
I'm
anymore.
taking Michigan.
I'm not talking to you anymore.
I mean, that's just
Nope.
that's blasphemous.
Kind
How
of
could
hard
you
to do
that?
a radio show.
You
I
know
gotta
what?
be different.
Let me do this. This
It's
is my
just-
pick. This is for my pick. Oh, never mind. That was the wrong one. So it is Michigan State.
Was that Michigan State?
That was not Michigan State. That was the wrong one.
What was that, like Rutgers or something? Is that a random school? It's the
Michigan
wrong button?
Tech.
Yeah, Michigan. Yeah.
That was
Western Michigan.
That was Central
Oakland?
Michigan. Okay, so hold on. So I'm the only one taking Michigan?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
you're the only crazy fool around
All
here.
right, all right, all right. Well, I'll get the points when you don't. That's all I'm saying. All right. Predators at Islanders tomorrow. We don't usually pick the hockey games, but the Predators are looking to snap a losing skid in their final game of this East Coast road trip. The over-under for total goals, 5.5. Over-under 5.5 total goals. Predators versus Islanders. Keep in mind, the Predators' past 2 losses have been 3-2 scores in overtime. Derek, over-under 5.5 total goals for the Predators Islanders tomorrow night.
Ooh. I'm going to go under.
Willie?
The last game that the Predators played the Islanders, it was 2-1 in a shootout. The Islanders are interesting because they give up a lot of scoring chances, but their goalies have been so good that they haven't given up a lot of goals. And so this could be a game of goalies tomorrow. And I think each team is going to go with their best, so I will go under.
David, over under 5.5 total goals.
You know what? I'm gonna be a believer in the other team scoring more points. We're gonna go with over.
I will also take the under on 5.5. All right, quickly, our individual selections. Awesome game last night in the NBA. Charlotte 123, Dallas 121. My guys. Cooper Flag, 49 points. Con Knipple, 34 points. So I'm going to stick with those guys on my individual selections. Give me Cooper Flag to have at least 25 points tomorrow when the Mavericks take on the Rockets. And give me Con Knipple to have at least 20 points when the Hornets host the Spurs. Derek?
Okay. I'm going a
Duke
little
love fest from Adam. What a surprise.
exactly.
What a shocker.
I'm going a little bit out the box because I told y'all I've been watching a lot of college basketball lately. And I'm telling you, I know many people hadn't watched this BYU team, but they got a freshman that is
AJ DeBonsta?
Yes, he is one hell of
I believe
a
that's
freshman.
how you pronounce it.
Goodness gracious, this kid's good.
He's very good.
So I have BYU covering. I think they are because they play Kansas. I think they're favored in that game.
Yep.
So
Kansas by 4.5. Kansas by
Oh,
4.5.
they're picking-
So
so I-
BYU's an underdog.
yeah, I'm picking
Because
BYU, and this freshman will have over 25 points.
AJ DeBonsa.
Woo!
That
over
kid's
25
good. If you
points.
hadn't seen him play, Willie, I've seen him like
Oh,
3 or 4 times.
I've
kid's
seen
good.
him. He can get his shot. I saw him hit 40 the other day. I
Yes.
happened to catch, I forget who they're playing, maybe TCU, somebody like that. Man, did he light it up. But Fog Island Fieldhouse, we know, is a tough place to dominate. That's going to be a good game. I'm
Mhm.
glad you brought that one up.
Willie, quickly, your 2 selections.
All right, I'm just going to try to spite Adam on this one. I'm just going to take. I'm going to take Virginia Tech to cover
Wow.
against the beloved Duke
Wow.
Blue Devils.
Yes, thank you, Willie. Thank you,
Just to
because he
see-
picked Michigan.
Yeah, just to see if I can stir up a little hornet's nest in the Vingan household.
Duke favored by
But
10
upset
and a
the
half
apple
on the road at Virginia
Yes.
Tech.
Virginia Tech's pretty good, 16-6,
And
5
Virginia
4.
Tech tends to give Duke good games in Blacksburg. So you might be
Yes.
onto something.
I've seen the court rushed. I've seen Mike Krzyzewski throw a big temper tantrum when the Virginia Tech fans jumped on the court, which I understand, but Mike Krzyzewski acted like it's the only team that's ever rushed the court before it. He just got so high and mighty.
Mm-hmm.
It cracked me up. And then the other game that I'm going to take, I have to say earlier this week, Duke smashing Louisville. That was impressive. My goodness. I thought Louisville was pretty good. Louisville's playing SMU, who is a key win for Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt fans are going to want SMU to do well. SMU's on the road at Louisville, and Louisville's favored by 9.5. So I'll take SMU plus the points there as well. So
Okay.
two dogs.
All right,
Alrighty.
boys. So I'm gonna make
Two
this
dogs
quick.
to cover.
I'm gonna make this quick. I am going to pick. So Vandy plays Ole Miss tomorrow at here at Vandy at Memorial Gym. I think Vandy will make 8 3-pointers against Ole Miss because Ole Miss has been really good on defense on the 3-point line. And then also I'm going to go with, you know what? I'm going to do this for Connor Newt. I'm going to go Arkansas over Kentucky.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll see. That'll do it for us
I'm not
this
sure
week.
that's going out on a limb. I'd say
No, it's not.
Arkansas
But
should be out
listen,
for blood
it's
in that game.
it's to get at the Kentucky fans.
Yes, he's just trying to make Connor mad.
Yeah, that's all.
But that'll do it for us today and this week. We hope you stayed warm and safe with us all week long. We'll be back together in full force on Monday from Bridgestone Arena. The Predators return home after their road trip, which ends tomorrow. Again, stay safe, stay warm, be neighborly. We'll talk to you Monday at 3.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful weekend. I love you. The team loves you. You hear that music? Don't you forget about us, because we will not forget about you. See you Monday at 3 p.m. Are we here? No. Okay. Yeah, we are here. No, we're not here. We will be at Bridgestone come Monday at 3 p.m. when the Predators play. So peace. Have a wonderful weekend. Love ya.